How productive you are, or the amount of progress you make in your life, is decided by your mood. Here's scientific proof. And here's some anecdotal proof from someone in the procrastination program. But the worst thing is, it's not just productivity that's affected by our mood. Relationships are affected heavily. If someone comes to you and you're in a bad mood, you're very likely to become defensive, and also just who wants to be around a grumpy person? And your health is affected. Are you more likely to go to the gym if you're in a good mood or if you're in a bad mood? And are you more likely to eat some really unhealthy food if you're in a good mood or if you're in a bad mood? The answer is obvious. Your mood affects your health and also your well-being in general. Of course, if you're in a bad mood all of the time, it's going to put you on a downward trajectory. Summarized, pretty much everything, every area of our life is directly impacted by the mood that we're in. But it gets even worse, because all of these things, your mental well-being, your productivity, your health and your relationships, these are all affected by your mood. And your mood is affected by stuff like the age that you are, or whether there's traffic or not, or what the weather's like outside, or what day it is in the week, or even what time it is in the day. All of these things have been proven to affect your mood. Therefore, if these things affect your mood, and your mood pretty much affects every area of your life, then these external things like the weather and stuff like that, which we just have no control over, they, for most people, have a huge effect on your life. And how sickening is that? That's how you become a slave to external things. I don't want my mood to be dependent on what the weather's like outside, and I don't want my mood to affect what work I get done in my relationships. It makes me sick that I'm a slave to these external things, but that's the way that 99% of people live. And when I first started learning about this stuff, I spent a lot of time researching how I could regulate my mood so that it wasn't affected by these external things, and so that my whole life wasn't dictated by things I can't control. So in this video, I want to give you years of that research boiled down to the very basics so that you can take it away, apply it in your life straight away so that you can be in a better mood, which, as we know, affects your productivity, your relationships are going to improve, your health is going to improve, and just overall your mental well-being will improve so that you don't have to be a slave and you can be free. That is true total freedom. So I want to break down the underlying theory about this mood regulation thing, and then go into some specific examples that you can start applying today. This overall theory may take me a couple minutes to explain, so just bear with me. And if you enjoy this video and you think that there's some value in it, or you just appreciate what I'm doing, make sure you click the like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I deeply appreciate it. So to fully understand how you can regulate your emotions and regulate your mood, we've got to understand what Epictetus has to say about bullies. So here are 3 quotes. What, for instance, does it mean to be insulted? Stand by a rock and insult it, and what have you accomplished? If someone responds to an insult like a rock, what has the abuser gained with his invective? The point being, you can't insult a rock no matter how hard you try, because that rock isn't insulted, and it's no longer an insult if the person receiving it doesn't take it as an insult. Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation, which is why it is essential that we not respond impulsively to impressions. Take a moment before reacting, and you will find it easier to maintain control. And what Epictetus is sharing here is that there is a gap between the insult and your emotional response. There is a gap where you can control and decide whether or not you feel insulted by this thing. And that is beautiful. True freedom lies in that gap where you are able to manipulate your response to the insult. If your body was turned over to just anyone, you would doubtless take exception. Why aren't you ashamed that you have made your mind vulnerable to anyone who happens to criticize you, so that it automatically becomes confused and upset? If someone was to grab your physical body and take you places you didn't want to be taken to, you're going to take huge offense to that. I mean, consent and everything, it's a huge thing nowadays. But the point is, you are letting people do that every single day with your mind. You're letting them get into your mind, take you to places you don't want to be. That is the definition of a slave. But the worst thing is, it's not just other people that are doing that over our emotions. It's the weather, like we've talked about, it's the time of the day, it's the day of the week, it's your age, and it's all of these different things, whether there's traffic or not. they are also holding you as a slave and letting your emotions be dictated by those things. And this gap between external events and your emotional response reminds me of a Christian hymn that they sing in church. The quote goes, "I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm." And to me, that is such a poignant quote. Just imagine a storm raging down, lightning, thunder, rain, and there's just some person standing on top of a rock, singing their heart out, not letting themselves be controlled by this devastating, brutal external environment. That is true beauty, being able to have the world around you going to chaos, but being emotionally strong, stable in the moment, and not letting yourself be perturbed or disrupted by these crazy external things. And that's what I hope to share with you in the rest of this video. So the first step is to reframe these external environments into something positive, and there's two separate ways that you can do that. First of all, ask yourself the question, how can this be the best thing that ever happened to you? If you find yourself regretting the past, if you find yourself worried about the future, if you find yourself in a situation that you're not happy with, ask yourself, how can you make this the best thing that ever happened to you? And there will be a way for you to reframe this thing in your mind so that it's actually a positive thing, not a negative thing. I procrastinated for many years of my life, but through that I learned the lessons that I'm able to help people overcome procrastination with my procrastination program. And the only way I could reframe that was by asking myself, how was the best thing that ever happened to me? The second thing you can do is learn to reframe these events and look for the positives in them. What I mean is ask yourself the question, how can this opportunity allow me to practice my virtues? There was a time where I went out and my bike tire got popped. And at first I was annoyed, but when I asked myself the question, how can I use this to practice my virtues? I realized, hold on a second. This is actually an opportunity for me to practice the virtue of patience. This is an opportunity for me to actually test the practice of stoicism in real life to see whether I'm going to get emotionally responsive to it or not. You can either choose to get annoyed by it or you can choose to learn from it and recognize that negative things are either negative things that are going to ruin your life or they're simply an opportunity for you to learn. And that reframe is so powerful. It separates you from everyone else. If you can learn to make negative events positive, game over. Third thing you can do, and I've got to include this in any video like this, if you want to regulate your emotions, which as we know affects your productivity, your health, your relationships, your mental well-being, you've got to get the basics in order. That means you've got to be eating clean, you've got to be sleeping well, you've got to be drinking enough, you've got to be exercising. If you're not doing those four things, stop trying to do advanced stuff, focus on the basics, get all of them in order, and I promise you your life will absolutely be changed, flipped on its head. There's a reason these things are so popular. They work, and they work well. So now we've gone over those basics, let's get into three of the more actionable steps. Although the previous two were very actionable, let's get into three very actionable steps. The first thing, if you want to regulate your mood, do less of what you don't like. It sounds very simple, but it's true. If you're not getting food automatically delivered to you, then you need to start doing that straight away. Walking to the food shop or the grocery shop, going and looking for all the food, buying it, forgetting some things, coming back, walking back with or driving back with all of those things, unloading it all takes a lot of time. Simplify it, get it all ordered to your door. It means you can save your order online, click a button, and it'll come to you. You don't even have to go through and pick the stuff anymore. Second of all, buy an automatic Hoover. It means that instead of having a Hoover, you just got an automatic thing that's gonna zoom around by itself automatically and clean your room. Third thing, buy healthy, pre-made lunches. Before, lunches were annoying to me. I had to spend a lot of time making them. But when I bought these pre-packaged lunches, then it saved me so much time with washing up, with cooking and preparing, and also with eating, also with choosing what to eat. No longer have to do that. Saves you a lot of time, and the best thing is it's healthy. It's not even unhealthy. And constantly think of ways that you can outsource or delegate or automate the tasks that you do regularly on a day-to-day basis. It's going to save you a lot of time, and obviously that's going to increase your mood. The second piece of very actionable advice is kind of what we were talking about earlier. Learn to either not feel negative about certain events or learn to just do them anyway. So not feeling negative comes back to the reframing stuff that I was talking about earlier, but just learning to do them anyway is a great skill to have, because when you actually do the task, regardless of whether or not you enjoyed that task, if it was a difficult task, you're going to feel good about yourself afterwards. The perfect example, and I know it's become a bit of a meme now, is a cold shower. If you haven't had a cold shower yet, you are missing out on so much potential for you to test and improve your emotional regulation. I'm sure by now, if you watch YouTube, you've heard many people talking about it. If you haven't had a cold shower yet, I am personally challenging you to go out and have a cold shower, come back and tell me what you feel after doing that cold shower. It is a powerful exercise. Unless you've got health problems, don't do it then. And third of all, intersperse these tasks where you're doing something that you don't like with something short that you do like. So for me, when I wanted to have, a bit of relaxation time because I was drained from doing a very intense piece of deep work, what I would do is I would watch an hour-long documentary. I would watch a documentary on someone I looked up to, and that was good. I got a lot of pleasure out of that. But the problem is it took a lot of time. So find ways that you can quickly get yourself back to a good emotional state in a short period of time. A couple of things I like to do is watching The Office, the UK version. It's hilarious, and because I'm laughing, it puts me in a positive state of mind. Watch stand-up comedy, it works really well. And if I want to get a very short hit of getting myself in a positive emotional state, if I'm not feeling like I can do it myself, I watch one of David Dobrik's vlogs. They're 4 minutes 20 long and in 4 minutes 20 seconds. Every single time I find myself in a positive emotional mood. So if you've got this far and you've enjoyed the video, make sure you click the like button, helps with the algorithm. And also go to andrewkirby.net/growth if you want to hear more from me. I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Twitter. The only place you'll be able to find me is andrewkirby.net/growth. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of the video. I appreciate you.